Hey, how's it going? Just while I'm out running some errands, I just wanted to come on and talk about a few things that will save you money and save you a headache when it comes to researching, acquiring, and using your outdoor gear, especially for longer distances and for through hikes. A little bit about me. I've been hiking and camping my whole life, ever since I was a little kid in the Scouts. Never really stopped doing it. As of right now, I'm planning on hiking the entire Appalachian Trail, doing a traditional northbound from Georgia to Maine in the spring of 2027. Originally, I was going to do it in this year, in a few months, but just due to life circumstances, it would not be the most prudent or responsible thing for me to do. So I am pushing it back a year. So still going to be doing it, and I'll give more details closer to that date. But as of right now, I plan on hiking Appalachian Trail in the spring, probably early April, late March, depending on the weather. And so look forward to that. However, a lot of things I see online as far as people prepping for the Appalachian Trail and other through hikes and camping in general, a lot of gear review videos. They always have a link, they always have a sponsor, they always push the newest gear, and to some degree, certain things are, probably better for being lightweight and durable. I know there are a lot of newer materials out there kind of do a good job of being that. However, you don't need to go the highest tech ultralight on everything, and there's a lot of ways that you can get gear anywhere from 80 to 60% off of the retail price to almost free, or free in many cases. So I'm just going to talk about what I've done to get my gear over the years, what I recommend, some things to think about. Now, caveat, if there is some top of the line or very specific technical gear, and you just know that's what you want, no shame in buying something new if you have the budget for it and it's what you want and you're sure of it 100%. This is the one piece of gear that I want, and I want it in X, Y, and Z color. Hey, buy that thing. Splurge on that nice piece of gear that's gonna carry you thousands of miles. But for everything else, there are ways to save money, and so I'm just going to talk about some of those. This isn't going to be specific to a particular brand. This is just going to be things that I do and suggestions for you. I will have a more detailed gear breakdown of what I am taking with me once we get to that point. Pardon me, someone's driving like an idiot behind me. Anyways, the first one is thrifting. Thrifting is going to be your friend when it comes to getting gear for the cheap, especially with clothing. Now, for backpacks, I would say there's a lot of aftermarket online retailers, resellers that people kind of sell their gear for. eBay is great for that. Your local hiking stores, or even like an REI, will have a returned or kind of consignment section. A lot of times you can find a great pack in those places, which is no small amount, because a lot of higher end packs now are going to run you like around $500. And I know, for example, I'm not in the market for a pack, but those Hyperlight packs that you see everyone using, the roll tops that are white or black, that weigh really lightweight. I know that my local hiking store, I was in there for something else the other day, has both a black one and a white one on sale for about $300. I think those normally retail around $500. So that's a great discount right there if you were in the market for one. My personal packs that I use, both a lighter one for more day packing or weekend trips, and my 57 liter, I both got at about a 60% markdown doing that from what you would pay retail. So one is thrifting, and that could be anything from Goodwill, local consignment stores, eBay, Poshmark, like I said, some of those camping specific resellers online, some of those marketplaces. You can find a lot of good deals. You can find a lot of stuff that is gently used or used, but in great shape for significantly cheaper. So that would be where I'd look first for any of your clothing and gear, with the caveat of I don't buy my base layer pants, like wool merino base layers, or my underwear or my shoes secondhand. I always buy those new, because one, those are kind of really personal places, as far as like I don't want someone else's sweaty socks or sweaty underwear, and I don't want my shoes secondhand because I want those to be in new, great shape, and I want to wear those things down to nothing. I want them to last as long as possible. So for that reason, I don't buy those secondhand. Those are almost the only thing I won't consider buying secondhand is my underwear, my pant base layers, and my shoes. Everything else is fair game for me as far as buying secondhand. A second thing to that is consignment stores. That's market dependent on where you are. I have a really great men's consignment store right by my house, and I've gotten some gear from there super cheap, like in great shape, nothing wrong with it. This Patagonia fleece right here, I got that way. My down puffy layer, I got that way. But that's a great place to find gear depending on where you live. You know, it's kind of hit and miss, but a lot of times you can find something really good there. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, other than like just thrifting, which I would highly recommend, first figure out what type of gear you're looking for the weather, the environment, the season that you're going in. And then from there, figure out some brands that you might buy that have the weight requirements you need and durability reviews and all that. And then after you've done that, you kind of know what you're looking for, then go thrifting. And you might find everything you need just right there for a fraction of the price. I would say that all my gear, as far as base layers, shirts, pants, jackets, everything I own that I'm going to be taking on the Appalachian Trail and that I use on a regular basis, I probably paid the same price as one of the higher dollar garments that I own. I probably paid for everything about the same price as if I had bought one of those larger dollar items brand new retail. So you don't have to buy the latest and greatest brand new everything on gear. You can save a lot of money that way. So in reality, the pack gear that I would take on a longer trip for everything probably cost me less than $600, whereas if you were going to buy everything brand new retail, you're looking at several $1,000s. Another place to look is estate sales and Facebook Marketplace. A lot of times you can find good deals on there. If you go to the right estate sale with someone that was maybe outdoors person, you can sometimes find stuff for dirt cheap that way. And you do have to do a little more research and planning for those, because those aren't happening every single day. But you can look, and it's worth your time if you have the time to do that on a weekend for an estate sale. And then also Facebook Marketplace. It's kind of hit and miss, but sometimes you can find some good deals on there. Buyer beware. There are a lot of scams on things like Facebook Marketplace, so be wary and be prepared in regard to who you meet and where. If If it seems shady, if it's in a shady area, the seller is trying to change plans on you at the last minute. If they're really adamant on you meeting an isolated place or at their place, maybe steer clear of it. But just do your due diligence and you can find some good deals there. Another thing is, on the gear side, you don't need $100, $200 stuffed sacks and dry bags. You just don't. A Nylofoam bag, a trash bag for your dry bags works fine. Ziploc bags work fine. Nothing against it if you want to be very technical and you want to splurge. But what I will say is you can spend $5 on some Ziploc bags and a trash bag, or you can spend $500 on dry bag, stuffed sacks, and pack liners. Choice is up to you. But you do not need that for your gear to stay dry. You do not need essentially a glorified trash bag that costs you $50. You just don't need it. You can use a trash bag. You can use a Nylofoam bag. They're a few bucks. And you will save money, and your wallet will thank you for it. And it does the exact same thing. Another place to save money and think outside the box is for like a pre-filter on water. If you're doing like a pre-filter system, depending on what trail you're going to be on, some water is nastier than others. Cheesecloth. You can use cheesecloth for a pre-filter and it works great. And you can easily set up a rig for that without spending an arm and a leg. Same thing with the Ziplocs, multi-use. You can use those for your food storage. You can use those for your gear, electronics, all that kind of stuff. But you do not need to spend, hundreds of dollars on dry bags and pack bags to keep your gear separated and dry. You just don't need it. So that would be my recommendation. I'm going to keep this short, and like I said, I'll go over what I've done. You can also find dry bags online, cheaper ones that'll still keep your stuff waterproof for really cheap. So that's always an option instead of going with the newest, high expensive technical gear. As far as it goes, also another tip is just shop out of season. So if there's particular gear you want for winter, right now, headed into early spring is the best time to get that stuff retail a lot cheaper. I know my local hiking store is selling a lot of their winter gear, brand new, grade A brands, 40% off. If you wait a little longer, a lot of times you can find stuff. It might not be the exact color you want, but you can find gear basically 60% off, 80% off sometimes in their clearance section, their warehouse sections. Also online, same thing. And then the reverse of that is, if you're looking for warmer weather gear, shop towards fall to early winter, and you can do the same thing with warmer weather gear. And you can get stuff way cheaper than retail. You just had to kind of plan ahead and shop in the off seasons. But that's an excellent way to get stuff as far as retail goes. Way cheaper is just shop in the off seasons. So kind of the reverse for winter. So winter, think around January to March, April. And then for summer stuff, think like October to December. You can get your summer gear way cheaper. Also, warehouses, a lot of warehouse sales have great deals on last season stuff. So it might not be the newest, but it'll still be new. And you can save a ton of money that way. Another thing to do is talk to friends and family who maybe have bought camping, hiking gear that they don't use anymore. Maybe life is different for them and they're not doing it anymore. But a lot of times they'll just give you stuff for free. Yard sales too. A lot of times you can get stuff at yard sales super cheap. Spring is a great time for yard sales. Kind of once the weather starts getting warmer, a lot of people are clearing their closets out, going through stuff. But that old spring cleaning time yard sales, that is a golden opportunity to find some really good deals on stuff. You don't know what you're going to find, but I've found some pretty good finds sometimes that way. Now, a side note to that is sometimes you just want a particular piece of gear, and sometimes you're willing to spend the money on it. Nothing wrong with that. But these are just some ideas to save you money on a lot of your gear and get good deals on it. And I'll do a breakdown later on what I am packing, what I am planning on taking. These are just some helpful general ideas to think about. Once again, no shame for buying brand new if you know you want it, but instead of your pack costing you $5,000, you can maybe have a pack that costs you $500, with comparable gear. Anyways, just some thoughts. Happy camping out there, happy hiking out there, and I'll catch you later.